What is up, guys? Today we're back with a brand new Pokemon Go countdown video. Today we're going to be talking about types of Pokemon. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, and no, it's not going to be the traditional types of Pokemon like water and fire. It's going to be like types of Pokemon in the sense that there are rare Pokemon, there are legendary Pokemon, and there are common Pokemon, and how exactly those classifications are going to play into Pokemon Go. So let's get right into it. So first off, you want to go over the common Pokemon. Now, common Pokemon are basically the ones that you see at the start of every Pokemon game, mainline anyways, and they're just basically the most easy Pokemon to catch, and the only rare version of a common Pokemon is the shiny version of it. So we're talking about like Zigzagoon, Rattata, those basic Pokemon that you just get right at the start of the game in the first route. So when we're talking about common Pokemon in Pokemon Go, I'm sure that there are going to be Pokemon like this that you can find anywhere around the world, probably some bird Pokemon, I would imagine anyways, and probably some of your basic Pokemon like Zigzagoon, Rattata, and the other just normal first route Pokemon. So moving on into the more region-specific Pokemon. Now this is a little bit of a topic that I haven't really covered much, but I do think will be really prevalent in the game once it's released. And that's basically just Pokemon that are only in certain areas, but they're not necessarily rare. They're just only in certain areas. So next we go one tier up from common Pokemon into sort of difficult to find Pokemon that are still all around the world and not necessarily exclusive to any place. So obviously this is going to happen again. There are going to be Pokemon that you sort of have to look around for, but eventually you'll find that just aren't necessarily as easy to find as the basic Pokemon will be. I definitely think there are going to be a few Pokemon like this, and it might not be a ton. Like, I think there are going to be quite a few basic Pokemon that make it in that are just going to be really common and easy to find, and then there might be a few Pokemon that fall into the category of a little bit more difficult to find, but still not necessarily rare because anyone around the world can find them. Next, we move up into the region-specific Pokemon, which is just above the tier before. So basically, this tier of Pokemon is going to be Pokemon that you can only get in certain areas, but aren't necessarily rare in any way, shape, or form. So basically, we can explain this by just saying that there's just a random state, let's just say Ohio for the sake of argument, okay? And that there are a couple Pokemon that you can only get from Ohio. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that they're rare Pokemon, it just means that you have to have been to Ohio or know someone that's traded with people down the chain that have been to Ohio before. So basically, you can go out anywhere in Ohio, just for example, okay, because I live in Ohio. Like, I could walk outside and I could definitely find it pretty easily, but anywhere else in the world, I couldn't find it. And I do think that there are going to be Pokemon that fall into this category or tier, because I do think there are going to be Pokemon exclusive to certain areas, because it just would make sense climate-wise if certain Pokemon were only able to be found in universally cold areas or universally hot areas. Like, for example, I wouldn't expect to find an ice cream cone Pokemon in the middle of Florida. Just, that wouldn't make any sense at all, right? So you'd expect it to be exclusive to certain areas. So moving on, you have actual rare Pokemon. That's what you see in the title. You see like Feebas and Chimecho, at least they used to be rare. They're not necessarily rare anymore with the advent of genning and with the fact that you can get them way easier than you used to be able to get them. But back in the day, back when I originally played the Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald games, they were hard to find and you had to really work to find them. So when, for example, your friend comes up and just manages to have caught one and found one, that's a pretty big deal. So I imagine that there are going to be Pokemon like that in Pokemon Go, that you come across them really like once in a blue moon, that it's going to be really rare, really difficult to find, and that if you find one, then you're going to be the envy of your friends. Now, then finally, we have on top, we have region-specific rare Pokemon, and we have legendary Pokemon. So those both are different categories, but I do think that they probably will fall into the same, like, rarity rating almost. So obviously legendaries are going to be pretty inaccessible to the regular player. You probably will have to go to events of some sort or be a very high level player and get them from competitions of some sort. Obviously we don't have details on that, so I can't really say without a shadow of a doubt that there are going to be really inaccessible legendary Pokemon, but it would make a lot of sense. And then going off to the rare regional Pokemon, which means basically if you don't live there, you're going to have an issue finding it, or you have to get really lucky to find it. Because if there are rare regional Pokemon, that means that you basically have to always be looking for it. And I don't think that you're going to come across wild Pokemon frequently enough to be able to, for example, go on vacation somewhere and just manage to catch the rare Pokemon that only are in that area. But that's just my opinion on how the Pokemon are going to be classified basically by rarity, and I do think there are going to be a couple more ideas that they could implement in that would change these pretty dramatically, especially if most Pokemon are just able to be found everywhere. Obviously, they could do that, but I just think it would be kind of contrary to the goal of the game, because honestly this is supposed to make you travel around. It's supposed to make you go to places you might not have gone before, and I think that taking into account regular climates of areas and then putting Pokemon that would sort of correspond to those areas around the world would be really cool, and definitely get a lot of people to go to places that they might not have gone before. But if you have a different opinion on that, I definitely want to hear it, so drop me a comment in the comment section below. And that's going to be about it for this one, guys. I hope you're enjoying the series. If you're new to the channel, make sure you click that subscribe button below for more Pokemon Go content in the future. I'm going to be doing a test vlog for it next week. It's going to be kind of funny, I think. I'm putting some comedic elements into it, so I'm hoping that that'll be fun for you guys to watch. And hopefully you're on board for the rest of the countdown. We're getting pretty close, guys. So until next time, hope you guys have a fantastic day. Peace.